everybody, it's Ian the Off-Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. I made another stop in at the So Sweet Bakery. It's a little scary when they start remembering your name. It means you've been there too many times, but I can't help it. It's so good. Let's go ahead and see what we've got in our box for clue number 3. All right, let's check out what we got from the So Sweet Bakery this time. Oh, all right. Looks like we got some nice pieces to use. I'm going to go ahead and open this up and we'll take a look at the fabric included in this packet. All right, I have my instructions. I also have my fabric guide available as well. Make sure to keep this. I know I say that every time, but make sure to keep this around because you're going to need it for every single clue. Inside this packet, we have, this is fabric F, and so we have 2 small triangles of fabric F. We have 2 small triangles of fabric C. We have 8 small triangles of fabric A. This is a lot. We have 18 squares, small squares of fabric F. We have 10 small squares of fabric D. No, sorry, that's fabric C. So 10 small squares of fabric C. We have 8 small squares of fabric E, which I love. It has the little fruits on my colorway. We also have 4 large triangles of fabric E, 8 large triangles of fabric A, and 8 large triangles of fabric C. So that's all that's included in this packet for the large clue. And I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the table behind me and we'll get started with step number 1. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start off with section 3A. Step number 1 says you'll be making 2 of section 3A. The instructions below tell you how to make both sections at the same time. Step number 1 says to join a small triangle of C to a small triangle of F. We're gonna make 2 of these. So C will be up in the top left corner, F will be in the bottom right corner, and we're gonna make 2 of these. So we're just making half square triangles, very easy. And we're going to make 2 of those, and I'll come back when it's time to press it all out. Okay, I have sewn those half square triangles together. Remember, whenever you're pressing out half square triangles, open it up slightly, go up, and then over, and that helps to keep those half square triangles from warping as much. I find that it really helps a lot whenever I'm doing it like that. All right, and the pressing instructions are the arrow on your instructions, just in case you forgot. So you're going to be pressing towards your F fabric, which goes down here in the bottom left corner. So it should look something like that when you're all done. So I have those 2 done. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 2. All right, moving on to step number 2, it says to join a small triangle of A above, that's hard to say, A above. Step number 1, we're going to make 2 of these, and then we're going to set them aside when we're all done. So we're just going to basically match them up just like that. We're going to make 2 of these in total, and then we'll set them off to the side and move on to step number 3. Okay, now that I've sewn those together, we're pressing towards our A fabric, the triangle at the top there, just like so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side, and you may notice, yes, it may not show up perfectly on camera, but yes, you can see that I messed up and had to rip it out and try again. No big deal. These things happen. I do want to let you know that I am, even though I do these tutorial videos, I still mess up sometimes. It happens, so don't freak out whenever you mess up. It's totally, it happens. So we're going to go ahead and set these off to the side and move on to step 3. Okay, moving on to step 3, it says to join a small triangle of A to a square of F, and we're going to make 2 of them. So we're going to put our A triangle here on the right side of our F square, just like that, and we're going to make 2 of those, and then we'll come back and press it out. Okay, I have completed step number 3. I'm pressing towards my A fabric, the triangle fabric, and we're just going to press that out just like so. And oh, my diamonds actually matched up. So I try to randomize most of the time, and I'll mix things around because I know whenever I put the whole quilt together, it's kind of gonna be all mixed up, but I ended up getting my diamonds the same way. Anyways, that's step number 3. Let's move on to step number 4 because we're just gonna set step number 3 off to the side. All right, moving on to step number 4, it says to join 2 small triangles of A to a square of C. So we're going to put a triangle up at the top and over to the right of A on a square of C. So it should look something like this when we're all done. And I'm going to go ahead and take these over to my sewing machine, and we're going to be making 2 of these in total. So we're going to make 2 that look just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will join you when it's time to press it all out. All right, it is time to press these all out. I went ahead and I sewed the top triangle on first, and then I pressed it because I knew when I put this next triangle on, I would need to have a good surface to sew on, basically. And so I went ahead and pressed in between adding the first triangle and the second one, and now I'm pressing it all out. Remember, when you do that, you are going to be pressing out towards your A triangles, so out from your square. They should look something like this when it's all done. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 5. Okay, for step number 5, it says we're going to join a large triangle of E to step 4, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're just making larger half square triangles using the step 4 that we put together. And I'll go ahead and come back when it's time to press this out. All right, we have finished that. It is now time to press it out towards our E fabric. The arrow is pointing towards our E fabric. I love the E fabric on my colorway. The little fruits are just adorable. This colorway is turning out to be a really beautiful colorway, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. Look at this tiny little dragon fruit. It's adorable. All right, so there we go. I have completed step number 5. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 6. All right, moving on to step number 6, which is interesting because I've never seen the directions kind of do this before, but we have step 6 and the picture is labeled. So as you're looking at your instructions, just make sure you're paying close attention. Step number 6 has an indicator above it, and so does step number 7. So just pay attention to that. But basically all we're doing is we're going to join step 3 above step 5, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to get this kind of bow tie pattern right here in between our F and our C squares. That make this bow tie. I always call them bow ties because that's what they look like to me. I'm not sure if that's what you see, but that's what I see. Hourglass, bow tie, whatever. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and do that twice, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. All right, I have gone ahead and sewn those together, and now we're going to press upwards. The arrows are pointing up, so we're going to press towards our step 3, just like that. And now it's time to move on to step 7. All right, moving on to step 7, it says to join a step 2 to the right of step 6, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to put them on just like so. Sorry, I'm reading ahead because I was like, wait, we still are missing something. I have to trust in the process and know that it's going to come out right. Yeah, so basically we're just going to put it together like this. Again, we're going to match up our hourglass, bow tie, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to put them together like this. We're going to make 2 of them, and then I'll come back when it's time to press this part out. All right, it's time to press this out. We're going to press towards our step 2. So we're going to press out from the center of the block, if you will, however you want to describe that. We're going to do it just like that. My blocks are definitely a little wonky, but that's okay. It always ends up coming out just fine in the end. All right, so there are my 2 blocks that look like that. Let me go ahead and grab the piece for step number 8. All right, for step number 8, we're going to join a large triangle of E to our step 7, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're basically just finishing out the block to be a mirror image of the other side with our fabric E. We're going to do that 2 times, and I'll meet you back here when it's time to press it out. All right, we have completed that step number 8 by putting on the large triangle of E, and now we're pressing away from the center of our block on towards our E fabric. Yes, my blocks are a little wonky, but that is perfectly fine. It will work out in the end, but there we go. There is our 2 blocks for section 3A, clue 3A, whichever way you want to put that. I'm going to go ahead and label them as clue 3A and set them off to the side, and we'll start on section 3B. All right, moving on to section 3B, we'll be making 4 of section 3B. The instructions below tell you how to make all 4 sections at the same time. Step number 1 is to join a square of C to a square of F, And in the picture, they have the C fabric on the left and the F fabric on the right. And then we're going to be pressing towards our F fabric. We're going to be making 8 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my sewing machine and make 8 of step number 1. All right, I have put together my C and my F fabric. We're pressing towards the F fabric, and now it's time to move on to step number 2. All right, it looks like that they're going to have us make a checkerboard with step 1 and 2. So for step number 2, it says to join a square of F fabric to a square of E fabric, and we're going to make A. So I'm going to put my F fabric on the left, my E fabric on the right, and I'm going to put them together just like that, because whenever we put steps 1 and 2 together, we'll get this small little four-square checkerboard kind of look, and it's going to look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put all 8 of these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press them all out. Okay, I have sewn together all of step number 2. I'm pressing it towards my F fabric again this time. It wants us to press towards the F because we're going to be nesting these seams together whenever you create the checkerboard. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way and grab one of my step 1s and move these out of the way. Make sure I'm not mixing them up on myself, because knowing me, I would get them mixed up. I don't think it would be a huge deal because you could just flip anyways. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to step number 3, which says to join step 1 above step 2, and we're going to make 8. So we're going to make 8 4-square checkerboards just like that. Oh, look at that. They actually match up. I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way or not. Anyways, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and go ahead and sew them together. All right, I have finished all 8 of those. I'm now going to press, well, I've already pressed most of them out, but we're pressing towards our square that has the C fabric in it. So the top left corner has C fabric, and we're just pressing towards that fabric. And I have all 8 of my checkerboards done. Let's go ahead and move on to, let's see, that was step 3. So now it's time to move on to step 4. All right, moving on to step number 4, it says to join a large triangle of C to a large triangle of A, and we're going to make 8 of these. These are, again, half-square triangles, so we're just going to make 8 half-square triangles just like that, and I'll come back when it's time to press it all out. All right, I have sewn all those together. I am pressing towards my C fabric, remember up and over, for half-square triangles. So there are all 8 of my half-square triangles for step number 4. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 5. All right, moving on to step number 5, says to join a step 4 to a step 3. Oops, I had that reversed. Here is step 3. This is step 4. Okay, so we're going to join step 4, which is this one on the right, to step 3 on the left, and we're going to make 8 of these. So we're just going to sew along this seam right here, and we're going to make 8 of these in total, because guess what? It's going to come out to 4 blocks when we're all done with section 3B, but that will come momentarily, so I'm going to go ahead and take these over to my sewing machine and do that really quickly. All right, I have completed step number, what was that? Step number 5, I think it was? I think I just did 5. Getting a little confused on the directions here. It's all right. I completed step 5. I have sewn all those together, and now I'm pressing towards my CA half-square triangle, or the block on the right. So there are all 8 of those. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these off to the side so that way you can see everything fully. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with, on step 6, it says to turn step 5 unit upside down and join to another step 5 unit. We're going to make 4 of these. So I have my step 5 unit that I just made, and it is, I guess, right side up, if you will. We're going to take the second one and we're going to flip it around. So we're making a checkerboard within a checkerboard. We have our large bow tie that is made by our, what is that, C fabric. So large bow tie of C fabric, and then our A corners are facing, or our A triangles are facing away from the center, or pointing away from the center. Should look something like that when we're all done. I'm going to go ahead and sew all 4 of these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it all out. All right, I have sewn all of those together, so I now have 4 of them, and I'm pressing up, although it doesn't really, on this one, it doesn't matter a whole lot Because honestly, this one's given me a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. It's easy to fix. I'm pressing it upwards, but honestly, since this block can be rotated 180 degrees and still be the same block, it doesn't really matter as long as you're pressing towards a direction that looks something like this. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say that, but basically, as long as you've got your two A triangles facing outwards, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which way is which, really. So there we go. We have all 4 of those put together, and you're going to measure, or these measures out as 8.5 by 8.5. As y'all know, I don't measure unless I see something really off, and we're going to label these as section 3B. So we have 4 of 3B, and then we have 2 of section 3A. So we have 3A, 3B, and that's going to do it for this clue number 3 of the large puzzle mystery quilt, So Sweet. And again, my colorway is powdered, as y'all probably know by this point. But there we go, we're done. I'm going to go ahead and label these and put them away, and it'll be time for clue number 4 next month.